Hi, welcome to FURIGHTENING, the first episode of our podcast. Today we are going to be reviewing Scooby Doo on Zombie Island. My name is CJ.
And I'm Possum.
Um, so, I love this movie.
The best Scooby Doo movie.
Yeah, everyone I've ever spoken to has said that it's their favorite Scooby Doo movie. I don't think I've ever gotten a different answer unless somebody hasn't seen the movie and then, you know.
Yeah. It was kind of like a staplehood. Like a staple of childhood. There it is.
Yeah.
I have a lot of that.
So, yeah. I grew up on this movie. I think this movie shaped my taste in a lot of stuff, from music to media, all across the board. This movie chemically changed my brain.
Yeah, same.
like, rewired me. So, let's get into it. The movie starts with a chase scene with the gang unmasking a monster who was using a moat monster legend to keep the people away while he printed counterfeit money. It's then revealed that Daphne is recounting the story on a talk show, which she has been hosting. She's been hosting her own show, Coast to Coast, with Daphne Blake for 2 seasons, or they're going on their second season. And while Daphne and Fred have stayed together, Shaggy and Scooby work a job sniffing out contraband at an airport, and Velma owns her own bookstore. So, we're starting out, and already the gang is split up, which I don't think...
Split up with jobs, God.
Split up with jobs. I don't think that I've seen that take, except in... probably the live-action Scooby-Doo movies, at the beginning. But even then, it's
And that's just the first live-action one.
Yeah, it's only the first live-action one, and, it's not that... It's not that the gang isn't together at first, either. We watch the breakup in the live-action one. I think this is the first one where, because, yeah, while we see the gang together at first, we don't watch the breakup. They're already not together by the time we're seeing this scene because it's just Daphne retelling it.
Yeah, which is, it feels more mature than a lot of Scooby-Doo movies.
Yeah, cause especially in the live-action one, too, when they're having the fight and, the falling out, it feels like it comes so out of nowhere, and I'm like, why do they hate each other?
20 years of just problems came formulating to the top.
Yeah, it was, crazy. I did rewatch those movies recently. We might have to review those at some point. I did rewatch those. I think we rewatched them last year, or the year before last year. And they weren't as bad as I remember, which is crazy. Because usually when you get older, stuff, sucks a little more. It was, the opposite with these.
You don't have the rose-tinted glasses of childhood.
No, yeah. Yeah, so I think this is really mature, and it's really cool to see the gang as, adults with, adult jobs.
Yeah.
So, after this, we see Daphne lamenting over the fact that the monsters, were always people in masks, and she wants to go looking for real ghosts during the second season of her show,
Ghost to Ghost with Daphne Blake.
Ghost to Ghost with Daphne Blake. I
can quote this movie, I'm so sorry.
I love the stupid jokes in this movie. They're so bad, but I'm just it's so endearing. So, she wants to go looking for real ghosts for the second season of her show. The gang reunites because it's Daphne's birthday as well, so they're gonna help her with the second season of the show. But it seems like they're all out of luck, and we get a montage of the gang unmasking more and more criminals while the song "The Ghost Is Here" by Sky Cycle plays.
A great song.
Yeah,
oh my god.
Like I said, this changed my taste in music forever. I think this was my first introduction to punk rock.
Oh, so, definitely.
Or Or like pop punk, whatever you want to call it.
I think pop punk would describe it best,
yeah.
yeah. I don't want to go into logistics of music. We'd be here all day.
It's all punk. Doesn't matter. Pop punk, sellout, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all music. Somebody had to write it. um, so as we progress, the gang stops in New Orleans, and Daphne tells Fred and Velma how stressed she is about not yet finding a real ghost, and they meet Lena Dupree, who is a housekeeper in an old plantation home.
Ooh.
Oof. Owned by her employer, Simone Lenoir, and located on an island out in the bayou. Lena informs the gang that the house is haunted and that the hauntings are in fact real. I think that this scene stands out in a way that no other scene in Scooby Doo ever has. Because, like, if I'm not mistaken, there's no music during this scene. Or if there is, it's extremely, like, faint and subtle. And it does kind of have, like, almost a serious horror movie, like, we're getting into the plot type feeling to it.
Like, I think maybe it's just, like a very low sound as she's talking, but, like...
Yeah, and her voice it lends really well, to, like, the tone of the scene. The way she delivers those lines are, really good.
Yeah.
Velma ends up looking up the location and states that it's well known or that the island is well known for its history of disappearances. And being that there's a mystery in sight, the king agrees to visit the plantation, where they meet Jacques, who is voiced by, Jim Cummings, and Jacques is a good-humored ferryman who tells them about the pirates that used to hide out in the bayou around the island in the 1700s. Jacques is voiced by Jim Cummings, by the way. If listeners don't know who Jim Cummings is, he also voiced Winnie the Pooh, the Cheshire Cat, and that's just scratching, like, the surface.
He was probably your childhood.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, Ka the Snake, too, I believe.
Yeah.
He has done so much. His filmography is crazy. His voice acting work is extensive.
Oh, yeah, like, there's probably, like, 1,000 animations you could look through, and he's voiced something in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I believe he also voices Tigger. So he voices both Pooh Bear and Tigger. I would have to double check, but I'm pretty sure.
Don't quote us, but...
Don't quote me right now, but yeah, pretty sure. We also meet Snakebite Scruggs, who is voiced by Mark Hamill. And Snakebite is a suspicious fisherman and hunter with a pet pig named Mojo.
Probably hands down my favorite character, not gonna lie.
Snakebite is absolutely my favorite character. I do love old Snakebite Scruggs. I like the voice work from Mark Hamill here. I mean, Mark Hamill's an amazing voice actor anyway, having voiced the Joker.
Oh yeah, that range
is phenomenal. To go from voicing the Joker, who's, like, way up here, to, like, Snakebite Scruggs, who is this, like, gritty backwoods bayou.
You scared Big Mona.
You scared away Big Mona. I love that line because, again, his delivery is phenomenal. So, Mark Hamill, I will mention this for the Star Wars fan. Obviously, they would know, but, you know, it's Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
So the range is incredible. So they meet Jacques and they meet Snakebite, and then the gang arrives on Moonscar Island, where we're introduced to Bo the gardener and literal hundreds of cats that inhabit the island, which Scooby Doo hates these cats.
Man has a vendetta.
He's a dog, I get it, but, like, it's
so much more funnier because he can talk.
Well, it's not even just that. It's like Scooby, who's afraid of everything, and he sees these cats, and he goes into this blind blackout rage for no good reason and starts chasing them down. Like, a lot of the movie is actually dedicated to him tormenting these cats that are on the island. We also meet Simone, who is Lena's employer. She's the woman who owns the house and the island and, like, all of the hundreds of cats. Like,
she likes cats.
She loves cats. If, like, you take the crazy cat lady, like, trope and you amplify it by, like, 10,000, there's where Simone is.
Oh my god.
Ugh. So we meet Simone. She explains that the house has been in her family for generations and that the land used to be a pepper plantation. Oof. So
history.
Yeah, so Bo the gardener, again, I'm just gonna talk about voice actors here a minute. Bo the gardener is voiced by Cam Clark, who voiced Leonardo from the Ninja Turtles in '87. And also voiced Heath Burns from Monster High.
Yes, I am the Monster High fan here.
Which, again, funny, because, like, incredible range.
Oh, yeah. Like, wow.
Voice actors are so impressive. I feel the need to mention them, too, because I might not always know what the voice is from, but I know when I recognize a voice. Like, I'm reminded of that time that we were watching. I don't even remember what it was, but I was like, is that Snagglepuss? And then we looked it up, and it, like, was.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why, but I have such a good ear for that.
Me the other day when I heard Invader Zim's voice actor.
I know, and what was crazy was that you were the one that placed that one. It wasn't me this time. Usually it's me. We were, watching... What were we watching?
It was the, that Dare video with the alien. We were watching Eddie Burback's review of it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was Invader Zim's voice, which is funny, because that means that that's not the first time he's voiced an alien.
Heyo!
I can't think of his name right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So, like, I have a note here, just, like, an extra note in my notes, but, like, Scooby messes up Bo's garden, like, immediately upon arrival, because he has to go and chase cats through the garden, and it, like, really pisses Bo off. So, like, already they've pissed off the crazy, like, Cajun hillbilly in the bayou by scaring away Big Mona. Which Big Mona, I don't think we explained. Big Mona is a catfish, like a giant catfish that Snakebite hunts. So Scooby is already scared away Big Mona, so he's pissed off Snakebite. And then he went and effed up Bo's garden.
Yeah.
So Bo also hates him.
Congrats, you made 2 people angry in, like, 5 minutes.
3, because then Simone comes out and she's like...
My cats!
Yeah, she's like, who brought this dog to the island? And, like...
Already.
It was a terrible accent, but...
3 people, 10 minutes. You're done.
You're
Dog,
done.
you gotta go.
It was, like, it's bad. Like, I didn't even think about that while we were re-watching it last night. But yeah, he pisses off 3 people before the movie even gets started.
That's a new record, Scoob.
Woohoo! Like, normally when people meet Scooby, they, like, love him in these movies.
Yeah.
Or, like, he's at least a minor celebrity, or they've been friends with the gang for a while, so they're all, like, excited to see him. And then he goes to Louisiana for, like, 2 minutes, and he fucks up everything.
Gone.
So most of the gang decides that they're gonna go hang out in the lounge and talk with Simone about the house and like get familiarized with like the house's history. Um and uh Scooby and Shaggy, they're like in the kitchen, and this is where they have like their first ghost encounter. They are I don't remember. They're not making sandwiches. I think they're eating peppers.
Yeah, they're eating peppers.
Yeah.
They were trying gumbo and decided they wanted it to be even hotter.
Mo hotter, mo better. Yeah. They go and they get the peppers. The thing about the islands, too, is that, like, Simone has said that they are the hottest peppers in Louisiana. The island is famous, well, not just for, people disappearing for almost 200 years, but also famous because it's the hottest hot peppers in Louisiana. Now, Scooby and Shaggy, they go to get these hot peppers out of the cupboard. And they're like eating them, and at first they like scream because it's hot, And the gang comes running, and then they're like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, did you see a ghost?" And they're like, "Nah, we just fucking with these hot peppers."
Ayo.
And then the gang is like, "Okay, well, chill out because you scared us." And then they leave, and then like immediately after they leave, Scooby and Shaggy are like sitting there, and then they have their first ghost encounter where like there is this ghostly mist that carves out words on the wall that say "get out." And it's like carved into the paint of the wall, like right next to the counter. I think this is another scene that really like stands out because again, it doesn't feel like
A Scooby Doo, like,
ghostly encounter.
Yeah.
Like it has horror movie vibes. Like the sound design in this movie, it knows when to be quiet and it knows when to hold back on like goofy cartoon sound effects. Like when they want the scene to be scary, they really don't use like the boink swing, like
Yeah.
it's all like quiet. It knows when to be quiet, it knows when to be creepy, and it knows how to put like I believe there is like sound, but it's all like sound design. It's like a
You
creepy
can
like
hear.
hum or like
I think you can slightly hear the carving of the word being carved in, like very low.
no, you definitely hear the carve, but I'm talking like beyond that, the music.
Yeah.
I think that there's just like a low hum or something, like something to put you on edge. The sound design is phenomenal. I actually didn't look into who did the sound design, but I hope they got a raise because holy shit. um, so they get this message carved in the wall, "Get out," and they scream, and of course the gang comes back and
More peppers.
more peppers. And they're like, "No, ghost writing." And Daphne, of course, sees this as her chance to film for her show, because remember, they're on the second, like, that's why they're here, is that she wanted to film the second season of her show and get real ghosts, so she, like, sees this as a moment. And so she's filming, and she's talking about how, like, this is our first real ghost encounter. You can feel a chill in the air, and then...
Cut! Who opened a window?
I knew you had to get that out of your system. Who opened a window? Yeah. Because there's like
A ghostly draft.
yeah, like a cold chill. And she's like convinced that a window was open or something. But they look, and then beneath where there was "Get Out" is now "Beware," also carved into the wall. And then
On camera.
on yeah, they catch it on camera. Crazy. Um, huh?
Sure hope nothing happens to that camera.
Uh, boy, yeah, sure hope. Sure would be a shame if something happened to that camera. um,
Anyway.
Anyway, surely that wouldn't happen. But like immediately after the beware, Velma is then levitated.
Zoop.
She lifts off the ground, and of course Fred, ever the skeptic, is like, well, we've been levitated before, and there's always a trick to it. And she's like, yeah, this is no trick. I'm being levitated. Which, to hear from Velma, the brains and like analytical, you know,
One of the big two skeptics.
yeah, to hear that from her, she's like,
Bro.
Bro, get me down.
This is great stuff. Maybe from where you're standing.
Yeah, and then, yeah, Daphne's like stoked about it. She's like, heck yeah, my best friend is floating in the frickin' air. Be sure to get an upskirt.
Yeah.
It's basically true. Like even in the animation, Velma like reaches down to like push her skirt in so that they can't see up it.
Yep.
Horrible.
Poor Velma.
Poor Velma. Man, she always gets the worst of it. I'm now reminded of that scene in Scooby Doo, Big Top Scooby Doo, when she's gonna be shot out of the cannon, and all it does is like shoot her costume out, and she's in there, and you only see like her uncovered shoulder when she pokes her head out.
Yeah.
Like, so poor girl, stuff like this always happens to her. I wonder how they got away with that. Who approved that?
I don't know. Justice for Velma, though.
Justice for Velma. But yeah, she's like, yeah, this isn't a trick of the eye. I'm being levitated. So after this, they go to review the footage, and they pause and they zoom in, like right when Daphne's like, "Who opened the window?" And they see a ghost that resembles Captain Morgan Moonscar behind Daphne, and Morgan Moonscar is one of the many entities which haunt the island, and one of the pirates from the 1700s that Jacques mentioned to them earlier. Velma returns to the kitchen after discovering this to investigate, and in a pure call of the void, like answering the call of the void moment, she shaves the paint from the wall with a pancake flipper.
Just
Like, yeah, she shaves the paint from the wall, and beneath that is the word maelstrom, which like it's not carved into the wall. It's like done like you would like purposefully carve something.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, so she finds the word maelstrom in the wood beneath the paint. And which, like, I don't know how that works, because I feel like if you painted over it, that the word would still show up underneath the like thin layer of paint. But like, unless they like patched it with clay or another piece of wood. But for the sake of the movie, which is still a good movie despite this like little thing that annoys me, like, for the sake of the movie, we'll suspend our disbelief. So the Maelstrom is Captain Moonscar's ship, or the name of his ship. Simone kind of like explains this away by being all like, well, due to the age of the house, it's possible that parts of the ship were used in the construction of it. Which, like,
Specifically the entire front board.
yeah, like the entire
Sideboard with the name of the ship on it.
yeah, like
I love that was one whole piece.
I also love that that's the like exact piece that was under there. But again, if we're assuming that the ghosts are real, then it must have known, you know,
Yeah.
that that's exactly the spot that it was, through its ghost brain powers.
Ghost powers.
Wow.
It was there since the construction, right? Ghosts.
Ghosts. Yeah, they knew. They watched. They saw it be built, and they were like,
I'll remember this in 200 years when some meddling kids come to...
meddling kids who are now meddling adults because they have adult jobs.
What the heck?
So, yeah, that whole deal comes about. And of course, like, she explains, the house is over 200 years old. So, during the construction, it's possible that parts of the ship were used, which sounds plausible.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, yeah, makes sense. So, again, that's again another very horror movie thing to happen that I don't think anything similar, at least not framed in the same way.
Yeah.
Speaking of like framing and like mood setting, I want to take a minute to talk about just the color choices for this movie.
Yeah.
Like the colors they chose, or like the tone of the colors they chose was so good. It didn't make it too vibrant, and so it made it a little more like grounded in what you might consider a plausible light.
Like, the vibrancy of the movie comes in the first part before they hit Moonscar Island, and then the tonal shift change.
Yeah, but it's even before that, just like the exact colors that they chose when coloring the characters, and even before that, it's a little less cartoony.
Yeah.
In a way.
The way this movie also does, like, sunsets and sunrises are so gorgeous.
Yeah, they're absolutely beautiful. The design for the backgrounds was on another level. And just some of the shots, especially when they're first driving onto the island.
Yeah.
Some of the shots leading up to that are just gorgeous. So good. And again, this movie came out in 1998? 1998, I believe.
Something like that.
It was either that or 2000. I always forget. Actually, I think Witch's Ghost might have been 2000. And no, I do know that this movie is like widely regarded as one of the holy trinity of Scooby Doo movies.
Yeah.
And it was the first of them. So you count. You were right, 1998. 1998! See, I told you. You were over there looking it up on your phone.
My phone that takes 20 years.
Hey, I remembered. 1998. But it is we talk about, like, what is your holy trinity of Scooby-Doo movies, and a lot of people are going to say Zombie Island at the top, Witch's Ghost, and Cyber Chase. And usually Witch's Ghost and Cyber Chase are interchangeable, but, like, Zombie Island is always up there.
And, like, there's technically a fourth one considered part of, like, that age, and that's Alien Invaders, but it had such a different tone from the other three.
It was so... Even the colors are brighter in Alien Invaders, so that's when we're starting to get back into, like, the usual Scooby-Doo formula.
Yeah. It's still a good movie, but, like, it definitely has a different tone than the Golden Three.
Yeah, well, and the masks make a return, too, where there is, like, mask is not as like the threat isn't as real as it could be.
Well, I mean, technically there is like
there's aliens.
There's an unmasking in Witch's Ghost too, but it's like not the main unmasking.
It's not the main unmasking, and also they have a very real threat following that.
Yeah.
Whereas like yes, aliens ended up existing in Alien Invaders, but they weren't a threat to the gang. And then there were also fake aliens that were unmasked, so we were getting back, like, into that. As opposed to, like...
No reason to shake, it's fake.
Yeah, no reason to shake, it's fake. So, where were we?
Velma had just Call of the Void.
Yes, Call of the Void, and, like, shaved the stuff off. Also, I was going to say that it was the first of those, because next was Witch's Ghost, which was 2000, and I believe that, Cyber Chase was 2001.
Yeah.
That sounds right, but again, don't quote me. Anyway, I almost ate my own hair.
Nice.
So, Scooby and Shaggy, they then decide that they're gonna have a picnic, and they head outside. And, once again, Scooby runs off to chase some cats, because he can't leave these freaking cats alone. And while trying, and like, while they're chasing these cats, he falls... Guinea pigs are making noise. So while chasing these cats, he falls into a lake, disturbing snakebite, and being chased down by Mojo, his hunting pig. And they get chased, both Shaggy and Scooby get chased into a hole. Guinea piggies, babies, that's not how we speak to people we love. My children, my fuzzy little potato children with their pea-sized brains. So, they get chased into a hole. And then, while trying to climb out of this hole, Shaggy and Scooby find human remains.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up in a Scooby movie.
It is... It's pretty... It gets really dark really quick from here.
Yeah, it's a landslide down.
Like, this isn't even like, oh, they find a fake skeleton and blah, blah, blah. No, there's, like, dirt and, like, vines and, like, rotted clothing hanging off of the skeleton. It's genuinely pretty graphic for a Scooby Doo movie.
Definitely probably scared kids back in the day.
I mean, definitely, like, not enough to stop watching, but,
yeah,
like...
It was definitely a shocker.
Yeah, like, I think that this movie is probably a lot of kids' introduction to genuine horror media, because, like, I would consider this a horror movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So, like, yeah, the Scooby Gang is there, but it has such a different tone compared to even in the Holy Trinity of the Scooby Doo movies.
Yeah.
Like, this one stands out compared to the other two. Just from tone, sound design, color choices, everything. So, they find human remains, and then this ghostly green energy swirls overhead, and the skeleton is reanimated into a zombified Morgan Moonscar.
There he goes.
And through the power of pure fear and adrenaline, Scooby and Shaggy climb free of the hole, and Moonscar is chasing them. Like, it's a really intense scene, too, and again, it's a situation where it's like, it's like nothing else I've ever seen in a Scooby-Doo movie, because first it's the human remains falling out of the side of the hole as they were trying to climb out. And then we watch a strange mist form overhead and, like, in real time reanimate this skeleton.
Yeah, like, the actual muscle and flesh begins to, like, build up on... It's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's graphic. They really didn't hold back. Like, they knew that they couldn't go full gory, but they got as close to it as they could without showing blood.
Yeah. Good on them, honestly, because, like, dang.
This is how you do horror for kids right.
Mm-hmm,
like,
definitely.
This... This was intense, and honestly, I don't doubt that a lot of parents were like, this might be too much.
Yeah.
Like,
Surprisingly,
that's
not my own mother, despite every other thing I wasn't allowed to watch as a child.
Man, I had to show you so much when you grew up. I
Yeah.
had to show you so much. I was like, what do you mean you've never seen insert movie here? And it wasn't just horror movies either.
It was any movie.
It was like any movie.
But you know what? Scooby Doo on Zombie Island was A-okay.
Your mom liked Scooby Doo. That was
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
Courage, you were also allowed to watch.
Yeah, which is also really, like...
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember your mom and dad telling me that you weren't allowed to watch The Sixth Sense because there was a sexual assault scene in it, which there isn't. And I was like, I literally just watched this movie, like, 2 days ago.
My parents were crazy.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to, like, say that, but a little, sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm messed up now. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
So, anyway, they get back to what we were supposed to be talking about.
This is just gonna be us going on tangents.
Yeah, isn't that just podcasting? So anyway, they get out of this hole and they're running away from the zombie, and they run into Bo, and like the rest of the gang kind of questions Bo, like, what were you doing out here, etc., etc., and he's like, doing my job. I was digging a hole so I could plant some flowers because I'm the gardener. And Velma's like, that is like a hole that is deeper than what you would need to like put a body in. I mean, she doesn't.
What are you doing? Planting elephants?
Yeah, like that's how she says it. But like, yeah, it is like that's deeper than you need to dig to put a casket in there. It's kind of the implication, you know. Like
she's like, you killed someone.
She's like, you're burying a body. I know.
She has already written 3 novels based on this man in her head.
She literally has. Like, throughout the whole movie, like, Fred kind of accuses him, but, like, Velma's the one that's always like, where were you when all this happened? And I totally get it, because he is kind of suspicious. like, if this were a regular Scooby-Doo movie, it would be him or Snakebite, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like, they'd be the culprit here.
But this isn't a regular Scooby-Doo movie.
Buckle up! Spoilers! But yeah, he states he's doing his job, and that he basically doesn't have to take their shit.
And walks away. He literally just walks away.
He just walks away, and like, honestly, good on him. These kids aren't cops. They're not authority. What are they doing?
One is just a reporter.
Yeah, and she's not even, like, really a reporter. She just runs, like...
A TV show.
A television show. Where she, like... Like, it's kind of like... She's the... I don't even know how to describe this. Like, you know those food shows where they go, like, around the country trying different foods?
Yeah.
Like, diners, drive-ins, and dives. She's, like... the Guy Fieri of ghosts right now.
But she doesn't have the merit of Guy Fieri yet.
No. She's like, I'm just gonna go. It's like diners, drive-ins, and dives, but for her chasing down ghosts because she wants ghosts to be real bad.
I want to see a real live ghost. That's an oxymoron, Daff.
That's an oxymoron, Daff. So he just walks away, and honestly, good on Bo. But Simone then informs the gang that the ferry does not run at night. So they are, like, stuck on the island, but she invites them to come and stay at the house, and they're shown to separate rooms. Now, while they're in their separate rooms, Shaggy attempts to get cleaned up for dinner, and the ghost of a Confederate soldier
My God.
Good lord. Appears in the mirror, warning them to get away. And the two run to fetch the gang during this time. Which, when it comes to the Confederate soldiers, they literally call them Confederate soldiers. Like, it's not just they have the design. Like, I remember in Scooby Doo meets the Boo Brothers, like, Shaggy's uncle was a Confederate soldier, but they never say those words out loud.
Yeah, that.
Also, like, can we talk about the fact that, technically speaking, if we're considering every Scooby Doo movie canon, which I know a lot of people don't consider the Red Shirt Shaggy movies canon.
But they're like the best ones.
Stop. I'm gonna need. Listen, eventually we're gonna have to relive Reluctant Werewolf, and I'm not ready. But, so if we're considering that canon, this is not the first time that Shaggy's been to Louisiana, and more specifically on a Louisianan plantation.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, so a Confederate ghost, which honestly looks a lot like Shaggy's uncle, by the way.
What? Why is Uncle Beauregard there?
Uncle Beauregard, you're in this movie too?
Beauregard.
No. I've connected the dots. So, anyway, they run into this ghost, and then Velma once again takes it upon herself.
Call of the Void.
No, this isn't Call of the Void. Don't worry, she doesn't like smash the mirror or anything.
Could you imagine?
She's like, a ghost. She's like, sorry, Simone. Every time there's a ghostly presence, I am overwhelmed by the urge to destroy your house. I get possessed, I swear.
I've been possessed by Morgan Moonscar.
I've been possessed by Morgan Moonscar.
It probably wasn't as half funny as I thought it was.
I thought it was pretty funny, because, like, I just said she got possessed. I didn't even think it's specifically Morgan Moonscar with a vengeance.
Get over here, Simone!
Come here, Simone! I don't know why, I imagine his arm becoming, like, a Davy Jones tentacle. Like, just shooting out. Yoink. She gets dragged away.
Zoinks, guys!
Somebody drags Simone away. Wink, wink, wonk, wonk. Anyway, so Velma goes to examine this mirror, and on the back she finds a metal plate with the engraving, "Property of Colonel Jackson T. Pettigrew, 8th Louisiana." And this is the time, this is, like, right before this, she kind of announces that she can't find her eyeglass cloth to clean her glasses, which is something that will end up being quite important later on in the movie. So, little foreshadowing.
A little bit of a spoiler.
Yeah. No, not really spoiler, just foreshadowing.
A little foreshadow. A little sprinkle there for you.
A little taste. It's like the cheese tags. A little sprinkle of cheddar.
Delicious.
So, after chasing Simone's cats again, Simone banishes Scooby and Shaggy from the house.
Get out of my house.
She's like, leave. I don't even have time for this shit. So she banishes Scooby and Shaggy, and they're forced to eat dinner in the Mystery Machine when the cats once again start to disturb them, and Shaggy is just like, I'm not putting up with this shit. And he decides to relocate the Mystery Machine. The rest of the gang sit and discuss what could possibly be the reason that someone would want to stage a haunting on the island, which, like, stresses Simone out. because she's like, oh, what do you mean there could be oil on my island? Or treasure, or, like... And she's like, why would anyone do that, though? Like, she seems genuinely stressed when Fred's like, or a smuggling scheme, and she's like, oh, no! But back in the van, Scooby and Shaggy eat more hot peppers because they're stupid.
They love it.
Yummy! And then, like, in an attempt to cool off their mouths, multiple, they're not sharing a mouth. I promise.
Okay.
This movie became body horror. Don't worry about it.
Don't think too hard about it. I'm scared.
But in an attempt to cool their mouths off, they leap out of the mystery machine and they run to a lake and they stick their entire heads in the lake so they can, like, gulp water. And then the same ghostly green aura from before begins to swirl overhead, and zombies begin rising up out of the bayou. And these are, like, zombies spanning across various, like, time periods.
Yeah.
Like, there's pirates, there's Civil War soldiers, both Confederate and Union.
Yep.
And Gangsters from the 1930s, 1920s. Tourists, like, from modern day. So we've got a good cocktail of zombies. From here, the gang hears them screaming from back at the house, and they head out to look for them, where they again run into Bo, and seem to accuse him of never being around when the ghosts and zombies appear. Which is fair.
I mean, it seems pretty suspicious, yeah.
Yeah, it seems suspect. Because he's like, I just ran into your friends, and I don't know, they're screaming about something about being chased by zombies, which is just garbage. And they're like, oh my gosh, and he's like, yeah, I didn't see anything, and Velma's like, you never do!
Velma, again,
like,
accusing him so vehemently.
She hates him so bad. So, at this point, they all decide to, like, split up, and the way that they split up is that Velma goes with Bo, because she's like, I hate him, and I've got my eyes on him. And, of course, Fred and Daphne go together. Fred and Daphne, locate the mystery machine, and they come face to face with the zombie. Like, it reaches out, and it goes to grab Daphne, and she...
martial arts its ass.
Yeah, she goes, like, crazy, like, kung fu master, and... which we know is, like, a canon thing that Daphne is capable of. Because she was tired of being danger-prone Daphne.
And she said, I'm changing the narrative. Good for her.
Yeah, good for her. She flipped that script.
My queen.
But she throws this zombie down on the ground, and it hasn't really registered. But you gotta think, like, they've been in so many scary situations where it's like, it's just a dude in a mask. So they don't really even think anything of it when they throw the zombie down on the ground. And then immediately throw Shaggy on top of it because she gets spooked by Shaggy also coming out of the bush, which, fair.
Yeah.
Honestly. So, at this point, they're reunited with Scooby and Shaggy, and Fred tries to unmask the zombie. And the entire time, he's taking, like, guesses as to who could be under the zombie mask. And it's at that moment that Fred yanks a little too hard, and the zombie's entire head pops off. And he is left
holding a decapitated head!
Yeah, a disembodied head. Um, and it's kind of at this moment.
Which is a very striking visual for a Scooby Doo movie.
Yeah, again,
Oh my God.
especially the conversation that they have beforehand where, like, Daphne tries to unmask it, and she's like, I don't know, Fred, this feels real. It doesn't feel like a mask.
Yeah.
Which, that is such a grotesque thing to say in a Scooby movie, honestly.
Yeah.
But when, Fred accidentally pops the head off of it, and it's kind of at this moment that Fred has a little existential crisis as he's forced to come to terms with the fact that this is not somebody in a mask.
Yeah. Me too, brother. Me too.
Yeah, that's... And this is where it really is solidified that this is not like other Scooby-Doo movies. It was like nothing that came before it, because not only do we have, like, the gruesome visual, or rather, implication, because it's not gory, there's no blood or anything, but...
It's mostly just the implications.
Yeah, the implication is there, and I've talked about it before, but that's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough to make it scary. Yeah, it's this moment... It was this moment for me when I rewatched it after several years of having not watched through it, where I kind of realized that this is not like other Scooby movies. This is much darker. It takes itself much more seriously, and it frames itself in such a light that the audience is also able to take it seriously.
Yeah, it's definitely a departure than what we've had before, or what we've seen after, even.
Mm-hmm. Even Witch's Ghost, where like a witch ends up being real, it still feels silly. There's like a lighter tone to it, where this movie, while it does have comedy, it doesn't oversaturate the tone with comedy.
Yeah.
It allows the horror to breathe.
Yeah. It allows the heavy parts to be heavy.
Yeah. It's unique in that, compared to its predecessors and successors.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it sinks in that the ghoul is real. And then there's a scene where they do lighten the mood a little bit, but in kind of a gross way, because they end up playing hot potato with the head, where they're like, I don't want to hold it, you hold it.
Yeah.
And then eventually it falls on the zombie, and the zombie puts its head back on and starts chasing them. The green aura returns at this point and animates hundreds of zombies from the bayou. And in a panic, Fred drops that lovely camera that we hope nothing is happening to. And so they kind of lament, like, oh, nobody is gonna believe us. Like, they have no proof, they have no evidence of the events that are taking hand. A chase ensues, and the song Terror Time, also by Sky Cycle,
another fantastic song,
begins as they're chased all across the island. This song in particular, because while The Ghost is Here is a good song, Terror Time is the song that completely changed me.
Yeah.
Like, the chase sequence is phenomenal, the music goes so hard, and it really didn't need to.
It was amazing.
It's fantastic. If anyone was like, what's your number one chase scene? Terror Time.
Yeah.
Um, so Scooby and Shaggy fall down a hole into a cavern and find wax dolls that resemble Freddy, Daphne, and Velma. The dolls have a scrap of Fred's discarded neckerchief, um, a scrap of Velma's missing eyeglass cloth, and some strands of Daphne's hair. They pick up the dolls, they examine them, and the next thing we see, Velma, Fred, and Daphne have been reunited, and then Fred, Daph, and Velma begin levitating. Uh, and we can discern from this that these wax dolls are in fact voodoo dolls. I don't like that term for it, but that's
The term that was used at the time and in the making of this movie.
yeah. I don't think they ever call them voodoo dolls though. They just
Yo,
call
they
them
do.
wax dolls. Do they say voodoo dolls?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah, they
So-
they do use voodoo a few times out throughout the movie.
Right. Which isn't
Correct.
correct. Like, it's a wax doll.
Yeah.
Not even related to voodoo, and we'll get into that more in a minute. But, they have, like, no clue who made these dolls at this point. But after this, we hear Lena scream from the house, and
Girl got lungs. Oh my god, that scream.
Scooby and Shaggy have it too, because they were out in the bayou and they heard them from the house.
Yeah.
I don't know how big the island actually is.
I don't either.
but-
They don't exactly say, but I'm sure it's not that big if you could be heard from different parts of the island. Oh. Like, if you could be heard from different parts of the island, I don't know if it's that big, but I don't know.
Right. So at this point, they return to the house. They find her in a hidden passageway that was built during the Civil War to hide from Union soldiers. Yeah. Which, like, good on this movie for not, like, just skimming over that history of, like, the state. you
Yeah,
know?
because, like, that's what it would have been.
But at the same time, it's heavy because this just implies if this has been in Lena's family for, like, generations, that Lena's family was definitely on the side of the,
Simone's family.
or Simone's family, yeah. Simone's family would definitely be on the side of the Union, or of the,
Confederates.
Confederate soldiers, which, like, oof.
Oof.
But, she tells them that they were attacked by zombies and that the zombies dragged Simone away, but Velma seems to distrust the statement. P.S. I'm in this movie. I'm in this movie. I was there, I swear. You can see a rat run by in the corridor. That's me. I was there. After being led to a secret room, Velma calls out Lena's lie and states that Simone was not dragged away. She walked because she could tell because of the footsteps in the dirt in the pathway. So,
Man, Simone, you could have at least shuffled your feet, dang!
right? Like, why didn't, like, have Lena, like, drag you and then scream, you know? But, this is the point where we find out that the voodoo dolls were made by Simone and Lena, out of magic wax.
Wonder what detonates magic wax, but okay.
I don't know, you just do a little, like, hocus pocus,
Hocus the
like-
focus.
abracadabra alakazam on it, and then it's magic.
Abracadabra Scooby Doo is another movie!
Hey, it's come full circle. So then we're treated to exposition. I'm gonna try to get through this as quickly as I can. We are
Oh,
now an hour into this podcast, by the way.
oh my god, how the heck?
So let me try to get through this bit as quick as I can. We're treated to exposition explaining that Lena and Simone were pagan settlers on the island in the 1700s. When their village was attacked by Morgan Moonscar, who drove their family and friends into the bayou, who were then eaten by gators, which, by the way, like, fuck you, Morgan Moonscar. Was that really necessary?
Bro, could have avoided everything.
Like, Lena and Simone are the only ones who survived the attack, and they prayed to their cat god for immortality so they could seek revenge on the pirates. But this came with a price, and they were turned into cat creatures who must drain the life force from mortals every harvest moon or wither away to nothing. And they've been doing this for 200 years.
Heavy.
Yeah, that's a lot to take in. The voodoo dolls are tied up, rendering the gang and Bo unable to escape, and then back out on the island, Scooby and Shaggy run into Jacques, who says that he's happy to see them, before turning into a horrid cat creature himself and chasing them down. It is revealed that Jacques was recruited as a ferryman to help get sacrifices to the island in exchange for immortality for himself, which is crazy.
Dang, man.
Because he's so friendly at first, and I love the line deliveries when he meets up with them and, like, starts turning into the cat creature, like Jim Cummings did. Just so good, really, like, getting the vibe of this, like, cocky cat creature down.
Yeah.
Cocky Cajun cat creature.
Triple C.
Cocky Cajun cat creature.
Okay.
Quadruple C. uh, so Scooby and Shaggy find their way into the cave with the rest of the gang, where they're told that the zombies are trying to help them. And freed from their binds at last, the gang makes, or finds, unclear, by the way, not sure if made or found, wax dolls of Simone and Lena, and uses them to keep them away from them. And unfortunately, this plan only goes well for so long before the cat creatures begin pursuing them again. I can't speak. At which point they begin deteriorating, as the moon dial indicating that the time in which they were supposed to go through with the sacrifice has now passed, and that they'd suffer the consequences, their cat creatureness and their immortality being stripped from them in real time. We, like, watch them wither away, and, like, it is, again, kind of grotesque, because you watch, even though there's no blood or guts, you do watch the skin sag off the bones and, like, fall away, which is...
Yeah, it's... Wow. That's a Scooby movie.
This is a Scooby movie. I want to remind you all. This is the same people that did Big Top Scooby Doo. It's so wild, so good. I mean, it's probably not the same people. It's a different crew, probably, but, like,
It's the same
IP.
characters. Yeah.
Like,
it's
the zombies are also released from the curse at this time, from their undead bodies, and their souls are free to depart the mortal plane. Daphne laments having lost the camera, so they don't have the footage, and she states that no one's going to believe them, not even the police. And it is revealed that Bo is actually Detective Neville, though he doubts that his superiors are gonna believe him. So that's why he was digging, by the way. Like, that's why he was looking for bodies, not burying bodies. And he was undercover as their gardener. You know? Like, that's the whole thing. Which is, again, really cool, honestly. I love the idea that, like, it wasn't just brushed off like, oh yeah, people go missing there all the time. We don't give a fuck. No, they were like, Detective Neville, we need you to go undercover.
Go do something.
And go, like, figure this out. You're gonna have to go dig on the island and try to, like, uncover some bodies so we can go searching.
I gotta dig? Well, I guess I'll be a gardener.
I guess I'll dig. So, it's at this point that the group readies to depart the island, Velma and Bo share a moment that kind of implies that they're going to have, like, a future fling. And then, as they sail away from the island on the ferry, Scooby readies to enjoy a lunch, only to be swarmed by stowaway island cats, and the credits roll to a reprise of Terror Time.
Oh.
I love this movie, and the ending scene is really gorgeous. The, like, morning sun coming up, and just everything about it. Everything about the design for this movie.
It definitely... A lot of love went into the backgrounds, too, for it. So, like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You could tell they were very passionate about everything that this was and was going to be. I think that they knew that they had struck gold with this one.
Yeah.
And so they were really willing to put their resources into it. And they were right to. It's a phenomenal... I mean, there is still... Have you ever seen the blog, Scooby Doo Mistakes?
Yes, I have.
I love Scooby Doo Mistakes, and what this blog does is it watches every Scooby Doo movie and episode, and it takes like badly animated or badly drawn frames and like animation errors, continuity errors and stuff, and it posts them on the blog and talks about them. And while there are still some animation errors in this movie, because it's a Scooby movie, how do you get through a Scooby movie without having an animation error? At this point, I think it's just part of the process.
Yeah.
So there are still those, but it doesn't take away from how beautiful the rest of the movie is.
And I think, like, out of all the movies, it had the least amount of animation errors.
Yeah. In fact, when the person who runs Scooby Doo Mistakes, like, actually watched the movie for the first time, they were shocked at how little there was wrong. Like, they're like, I can't even make fun of this movie, because there's barely anything to make fun of. Which... yeah, and for good reason. They really put their heart into making this good.
Yeah.
Like, they genuinely cared about the product they were making this time around. So, after the credits roll, we, get a scene where Scooby is seen pouring milk for the island cats, and at long last getting along with them. And that's our wrap-up. So, yay!
He came and had his own character arc.
Woo! Yeah, the moral of this movie is be kind to cats. I think that's what we were supposed to learn, actually.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. Not, don't seek revenge because you'll turn into a horrible monster just the same, or, like, don't run people into a bayou to be eaten by gators, or...
Speaking of that, the funniest thing about the zombies not being the bad guys in this movie is that nearly all of them, in life, were horrible people.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is, like, nobody is a good person. Like, nobody who was suffering was a good person. They all sucked. Like...
Everyone in this movie was
movie was an asshole. Like, Morgan Moonscar runs a whole bunch of settlers who are just having a peaceful harvest festival, too. He runs all of them into the bayou, and they are eaten alive by gators. Which is also really dark for a horror movie, and they show it. Not like the eating, but they do show them getting swarmed by the gators. Like, insane. And then, and then you have the Confederate soldiers.
Even before that, you have the pepper plantation company.
Oh yeah, before them was the original people, because it turns out the house wasn't owned by Lena. It was...
Simone.
Or, yeah, sorry, I don't...
I keep mixing up Lena.
Lena and Simone, I know the difference when I see them. It's just that, like, Lena is more prominent in the movie than even Simone is.
Yeah.
So, like, she's the name that comes to mind. Simone, the owner of the house, wasn't even the original owner of the house. She killed the people who made the house, and took it as her own, which is like fine, is whatever, because like they were plantation owners, so they probably had slaves.
So pirates
Pirates sucked.
Plantation
owners sucked.
The Confederates were there.
The Confederate soldiers, those sucked. The 1920s, 1930s gangsters, they
did horrible things.
They probably killed people, so they sucked. And then there's tourists, and well,
we know what tourism does. Also, the main reason why the tourists were bad, the guy was wearing socks with sandals.
It's true. One of the tourists, and I think a Hawaiian shirt too. He's got on a Hawaiian shirt, and he's rocking the socks and sandals, which already just makes him awful. Maybe he deserved to be a zombie. I don't know. And then you have Simone and Lena, who like you sympathize at first with their the story of like wanting to avenge their settlement.
But then they just lost the plot.
Yeah, but then they just, like, go and start, like, killing random people at that point. Also, they never state... Do they ever state that it has to be humans that they drain the life force from? Because I'm not certain that they do.
I never heard it mentioned.
Okay, I might have to rewatch and make sure, but I'm pretty sure it's never stated that the life force has to be from humans.
I mean, they did try to take Scooby, too.
Yeah, they did try to take Scooby, so it could just be like, there's plenty of wildlife on the island, and I'm sure that your cat god would love the sacrifice of, like, a fish. You live near the bayou.
This brings me to our next theory.
Go for it, man. You're on this
Snake bite Scruggs.
Mm-hmm.
He is there throughout the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
But he is never shown to be a bad guy. He is never shown to technically be a cat creature. Nothing. He has nothing to do with the plot of the story.
He's just kind of out in the bayou.
I personally think he is a cat creature, and he's just sacrificing catfish, man.
That's why he wants Big Mona. He's like, that thing's fat enough that it probably has
It'll last me 200 years beyond what they're doing.
I could kill this catfish, and it's so big that its life force must be enormous. And if I kill it, then maybe I can go a couple years without having to do the whole, like, killing thing again. I actually really do like the theory that Snakebite Scruggs is just, like, a cat creature, but he's figured out the plot.
Yeah, he's found the workaround.
Because he seems familiar with Jacques. Like, Jacques seems to know him.
He's also on, like, he is on Moonscar Island at some point.
Right, and he's out in the bayou, and you're telling me they've never killed him? I think he's a cat creature, but he was just like...
Y'all do you.
Y'all do you. I don't think that I'm gonna kill anymore. And, like, I think he's just a cat creature. He found out, like,
he found the cheat code. He found the cheat code.
Yeah. And I think that's why they don't F with him. Like... Anyway, that's our headcanon. Prove me wrong. You can't.
Someone proceeds to send us the entire script where we're wrong.
They probably could. They probably could prove us wrong. But I'm gonna say that they can't, and even if they send me anything, I'm
blind.
I
can't
cannot
read.
see. I do not see it. So...
I'm just having fun.
Yeah. I think that's fun. I think that he and Jacques probably smooched. Anyway, so that's... You got any other points that you want to make?
Talked about Scruggs.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing for this episode, I think.
Okay.
Because I know we're doing the Abomination sometime.
Oh, probably right after this, we're gonna have a mini-sode. And it will...
I'm so sorry to y'all.
I apologize in advance, because when we do this mini-sode, I am going to black out and not remember anything.
You are going to become Scooby with the cats.
I'm gonna become Scooby with the cats and go into a blackout blood red rage. So I think that's a wrap up.
I think so.
All right. So see y'all in the next one.
See ya.
Bye.